All right, so let's talk about one of the fundamentals of second and third order consequences. Now, we've already covered this in the course. We did a mindset video on this. But I think in terms of how I do fundamental analysis, the consideration of second and third order consequences is so crucial to building a thesis, to analyzing a project. And one of the ways that most investors go wrong with their fundamental analysis is they don't consider what each thing they look at means and what each thing they look at can mean for the future. A lot of people, they'll do fundamental analysis and all they'll do is list off attributes of the project. Attributes of the project only mean something if that attribute changes something into the future. Okay? The team's great. What does that mean? You're a retail investor. How important is the team? I know tons of projects that have great teams which you would not have wanted to invest in. Okay? Because you would have had to buy it at the right time still, right? You buy BNB at the end of the bull run, you're down a lot on your money. You could have used fundamental analysis to understand that maybe BNB was not a great investment going forwards, even though the team is excellent, right? FTX, right? You could have still lost money there. So I think purely looking at just the face value of what a team, what a community, what a project's vision, what all these things can mean is only going to get you so far. In the way that I do fundamental analysis, I look at what's in front of me, but I'm always considering what that thing in front of me means going into the future, right? Because there's a first order consequence, a second, and a third order consequence, right? Generally, we focus on these three. Most people, they'll analyze a project with its fundamentals and they'll just look at the first order consequence. So they'll say the team's good, the community's strong, has a small market cap, the coin's new, good tokenomics, you know, all these things. But you have to ask yourself, what does that mean? Why is a good team going to impact this project? What is it about the team that's good? Why is the community good? What is that going to do? You have to ask yourself, like, what does each attribute mean? How is each attribute going to improve going forward? Because you need to understand an amazing team has that priced in, right? The amazing team is priced in because everyone knows the team's amazing. And so they buy it knowing that the team's amazing. You only make money by buying something before other people know about what you know, or by guessing correctly what is going to happen into the future, because markets are forward-looking. So an amazing team doesn't mean anything unless the team's going to get more amazing, or unless something that the team makes is going to increase the value. But just because the team itself is good doesn't actually mean anything, because that's a first-order consequence. The team's good. That's the first thing. Well, what's the consequence of a good team? Well, it means that they're able to pivot into this new sector, which is going to boom, which is going to cause the token price and the fundamental value to increase. So maybe the second order consequence is this team's great and they're just about to make a pivot into a new sector. I expect the coin to go up because this new sector is really promising and it's going to bring a lot of new attention to the coin. That is a second order consequence way of analyzing why the team is good, right? You're looking at the team can pivot fast, and so it's able to move across to this new sector that I'm seeing. That is how you make money on the fundamentals of the team. Let's do another example. Let's talk about what's another one? Maybe like what's another one, I guess? Perception versus reality. So let's say everyone perceives the coin as really, really shit. And the reality is that the coin's actually really good. What is the catalyst going to be that makes everyone understand this, right? So the coin is underpriced, but a coin can stay underpriced for a long time. So what is it that's going to kick off this coin to sort of regain its true value? What's the second order consequence? What's the first order consequence, right? So maybe so you say perception versus reality, the first order consequence. The team the perception is worse than the reality. Okay, cool. Face value, perception, straight up is worse than reality. Okay, but what does that mean? Well, it means that when this new update comes out in 2 months, which is going to bring a lot of people's attention, that's going to be the wake-up call that brings in a lot of users, which is going to make the price go up. So you can see that the first order consequence is that it's underpriced, and the second order consequence is, well, you know, the reality is that this new update's about to come out, and it's going to make all these new people come in. And it's through that, analyzing what each thing means and what that causes, the chain of reactions, that gets you a really strong thesis. Okay, now I know that's a long introduction, but I just want to give you a summary. And if you find yourself always late to trades or plays, it's because someone else in the market had considered what you are seeing now many steps ago, right? You buy a coin because you see that it's you know, the leader of this bull run, it's getting all the volume. Someone bought 12 months ago expecting this coin to be the leader because of a third order consequence that he was seeing. So you're buying it after he had already sort of priced that in. So to stay ahead, like Kun says, you got to see the second and third order impacts of all of the different fundamental characteristics that you're looking at. Okay? Thinking multiple steps ahead of the market is a requirement. Markets are forward-looking, and you make money by correctly guessing what happens in the future. So your market experience dictates how often your estimations are right. So the problem with telling you look at second and third order consequences is most of you guys don't have the experience to be able to do so. You don't have the skills to be able to analyze 2-3 steps ahead, because it is a skill that you have to learn, right? The reason I know that Coinbase gets all the users and they go to Base and they go to Toshi is because I know from experience that meme coins are the highest beta play, because I've seen it firsthand. I know that money flows where people send it to, where Coinbase sends it to, right? I know that Coinbase is going to send money to Base because I've spoken to the Coinbase and Base team. I know what the internal documents are, the internal plan is, that most people don't know. So you can see that your ability to dictate what happens in the future comes down to, do you have information that other people don't have access to? And this is why, for example, with my mastermind, it's such a valuable resource, because you're getting access to all this information, which allows you to make the correct second and third order consequence, or create the correct or the most accurate second and third order consequences, because you have access to information which allows you to do so. I wouldn't know that Coinbase was going to send all its users to Base if I did not know my friend who works at Coinbase, who already spoke to the team about this. It was him telling me this that helped me build the third order consequence, the second order consequence of my thesis behind Toshi, for example, what I'm just talking about here. Okay, so let's give you an example of what first, second, and third order consequences look like. So for example, Coinbase is going to get lots of adoption this bull run. Coinbase is getting all these users, blah, blah, blah. What's the first sort of order consequence of the Coinbase adoption? Well, if Coinbase gets all this adoption, it's, you know, the stock's going to go up, right? You buy the coin stock, pretty straightforward. That's the first consequence. That's what you think of it, the first thing you think of. But there is more to this than meets the eye, because this has flow-on effects, right? If this happens, this is not the end of this chain of events, right? This happens, which causes this, which causes this, which causes this. Let me show you a better example. Imagine a circle, right? Can I draw a proper circle? So let's see how good my circle is. Oh, okay. Now imagine you throw a ball in this circle, and the ball just moves forever, right? The ball goes here, and then the ball goes here, and then the ball goes there, right? If you use the correct math equation, you can, before it happens, guess that the ball was going to go here, and the ball was going to go here. And you can say, okay, based off the math and, you know, what's happening here, I can guess the second order consequence is that the math is telling me it's going to go here, right? So then the ball bounces, boom, you guessed it right, okay? The same thing happens with Coinbase, right? So Coinbase gets all the users, hits this corner, I can do math sort of to determine the next spot it's going to hit. So, okay, well, Coinbase internally said it wants to send all its users to base, right? So it's going to hit over here, right? Boom, guessed it correctly. And now the third order consequence is, okay, well, second order consequence, I should buy Toshi because all the money is going to go to base, right? Second order consequence. Now the third order consequence, I can do math and guess it's going to hit over here. So my guess is that, okay, Toshi pumps, Bonk has gone ballistic. Everyone is going to start thinking that every single chain will have its own meme mascot. So if there's any other chains that I think are going to get a ton of adoption, it makes sense for me to bid those meme coins because they should perform well to sort of play catch up to Toshi performing well, right? Toshi might kick off a new standard of every chain having its own meme mascot. And that's sort of already played out, but this is what you could have thought of in advance, right? So then, boom, this plays out, bam. So I knew every corner it was going to hit because I used my judgment to guess where it was going to go, right? If you wait till the ball is here before you go, okay, it's going to hit here, you're too late. Everyone has already placed their bets on this happening. They already know it's happening, and so you don't make any money. Okay? Now, if all of your investment decisions are just the first order consequence, right? Then you can make money, but you're not setting yourself up for the most success, right? Coinbase gets more adoption, Coinbase stock goes up. That's the first order consequence of Coinbase adoption, right? You can still make money from that, but the second and third order consequences is where the big money is, okay? And your fundamental analysis, you should be trying to have second and third order consequences, okay? You must ask yourself, what does what I see right now cause into the future? So you see, let's say you just see this, right? What does this cause? What is this going to catalyze? Right? All this money on Coinbase, where is it going to go to? And then where is it going to go to? What are people going to think when this happens? What is the thought that's going to enter their mind going to be? That is what you need to ask yourself, okay? Now, I want to give you an example of a bad fundamental analysis. This was the first ever fundamental analysis this guy has done, so this is by no means me trying to be mean, but I just want to share it because I thought it was a really good case study of what you shouldn't do. So this guy asked, for advice, like, what do I think of this thesis? He's formed a thesis for coins on base chain, and let's go into it. So he says that the project is it's a DEX on base, and it does this and this and this, does all this shit here. So he's giving you a product description. Then he gives you a description of the market cap and the numbers. Then he tells you, how far it's down from the all-time high. Then it tells you how much TVL it has. Then he tells you the social media followers. And then he says that they hold most of the supply. Okay? So he's listed off a bunch of, things that he thinks are like fundamentals. Now, the problem with his thesis is that he hasn't considered any second or third order consequences. So for example, he says a major red flag is that they hold 82% of the tokens. Okay, why is that a red flag? What does that mean? Well, they can dump the supply on the market at any time, but also it means that any serious investor that looks into this is probably gonna be put off, which means there's less buyers coming in. This is also a major overhead supply that's eventually going to enter the market. It also shows that this coin has a bad initial distribution. It's giving too much of a reward to the people who are building the project and not enough of a reward to the other stakeholders. There's no info on the developers. What does that mean? It means that this project's probably going to rug, right? Which means that you would lose all your money. Okay, so holding most of the supply, first order consequence, it means that this is not a well-run project. If the project's not well-run, it means it has a higher chance of rugging. Right? If it has a higher chance of rugging, it's probably worth avoiding. So that would be like looking at something and then analyzing what does that mean. Now, it's not the best example, but that's sort of what you would do with that, for example. So you can see that all these other things that he's listed is just it's just the face value. It has a small market cap, has a lot of followers, has a lot of Discord members. It's down a lot from the all-time high. it's TVL has 500,000, right? What does that mean though? Because everyone knows this information already. The price of the coin is already priced this in, right? The coin is at the market cap of 400,000 because it has 500,000 in TVL, because it has 200,000 Twitter followers, right? It doesn't go up and down based off what it has today. It goes up and down based on what is going to happen in the future, right? So he needs to mention forecasts. He needs to mention reasonings for things to get better into the future. He needs to analyze multiple steps ahead on what might occur. Why would this coin go up more than Toshi, right? What is going to make this coin go up? What's the reasoning, right? There's no reasoning here. Now, you could argue that he has the reasoning of base getting adoption, but there's no solid reasoning for why this coin will go up. The reason Toshi will go up is because it is a meme coin, and the meme coins go up the most every single time. And it's actually got a really good team behind it that are able to get into the good books of the Coinbase team, right? Which means that they have the highest chance of getting listed on Coinbase, which means they have the highest chance of getting access to all of the flow of capital on Coinbase from retail. Do you see how I just did multiple steps ahead analysis? Why was a good team important for this Toshi coin? Because they have a higher chance of getting listed on Coinbase, which gets them access to the exit liquidity. If I'm going to have $3 million of Toshi when it hits $1 billion market cap, how am I going to sell all that money? Well, I'm probably going to have a Coinbase account. I'm probably going to have, the coin's probably going to have to be listed on Coinbase because that's where the liquidity is. So if I want to sell all my coins and tell everyone to sell, we need access to something with a lot of liquidity, which is going to be Toshi if it gets listed on Coinbase. You can see how I did multiple step ahead analysis just then. Great team, higher chance of Coinbase listing, access to exit liquidity, which makes price go up more. Boom, boom, boom. Simple. Now, why does he have to do forecasts and reasonings for things to be better in the future? This is a really good tweet. 99% of crypto assets should not be valued on fundamentals, right? You shouldn't really care too much about the fundamentals. The fundamentals only mean something if, if the perceived value way down in the future is higher than what it is now, right? Because what price is it's a call option on the perceived price potential at some point way down the road. And this is totally okay, and the resulting volatility is what provides opportunity, okay? The price very, very rarely actually represents the underlying fundamentals. The price reflects what people think the potential of the coin is into the future, right? So it looks like this, okay? People, when this coin doesn't have much adoption, they think it has a huge potential, right? And they buy the coin before that potential occurs. And then the potential plays out, right? And then the price goes down because the potential has played out. Now, obviously, the coin's going up in more potential, but what happens is that the market prices in this has been priced in here, right? If a coin should be worth the value of red, the price will get to the value of red before red gets there. And then what happens is red goes way beyond, so the value goes way beyond the price, and then the coin has to sort of catch up, right? And it's just this perpetual, if this is the value, it's just this perpetual up, down, up, down, up, down, okay? So what a project has right now is not important outside of what that might mean for the future. An amazing team is only useful if it actually impacts the future of the project. We went over an example, remember? An amazing team can pivot fast, so there's this new sector in crypto that this team I think is going to pivot to. If it does, it's going to make the token go up a lot. So for example, there's a project called Merit Circle, I think it is. It's like a gaming project. They pivoted to building their own, I think it's like their own gaming chain. And this has led to the price going up a lot. So that's an example of an amazing team pivoting to a sector that you're aware of, which you knew would bring the price going up, okay? Now, having adoption doesn't mean anything unless the adoption is going to increase into the future. In fact, actually having adoption is bearish. If you look at Cardano, it had this really big update come out, and then the price stopped going up a lot after that update came out. And it's been like that ever since. It hasn't performed good since that update came out. I think it was they had all these, I think it was the mainnet of Cardano or something. Like the platform, like all this on-chain ecosystem of Cardano basically opened up. And as soon as that happened, the coin stopped performing well. It was the top. And it has never performed good since then. And the reason is that a lot of the time, adoption actually is bearish because the project doesn't live up to what people thought it was going to. And and sometimes it never achieves that potential of what it set out to be. And so, you have to realize that the imagination of a human is often far beyond what can actually happen in reality. So most of the time, you have the event, right, occurring, and then you have the price before the event. The price will go up all the way here before the event coming out, and then the event happens, and then price will often just top, because the event is very rarely as good as the market expects it to be, right? There's been so many times in crypto where a big update comes out, everyone's hyped, and then it's a nothing burger, right? Wraith Protocol was the first one I got involved in back in like 2017, right? Wraith Protocol came out in like December, January. I bought it as the Wraith Protocol came out. I thought it was going to, get all this adoption and shit. Price never went up to that level ever again. 6 years later. It's because Wraith Protocol didn't fucking live up to the expectations. What people thought it was worth and what it was actually worth was entirely different. Okay? And look, here's an example of, this is the video that I put out when I bought Toshi at $2.2 million market cap, $2.5 million market cap, right? And it's now at a $50 million market cap. I gave you the thesis. Let me show you my first, second, third order consequences thinking. This is Danielception. I'm right here and I'm right here. There's two of me, right? What was my thesis? Well, I gave a scenario. ETF gets approved, halving approaches, Bitcoin goes parabolic. Coinbase is the biggest exchange. It sends all the users to base chain because Coinbase wants users to go up the value chain. They've said this publicly and privately. Millions of users go to base. They buy Toshi because it's the face of base. Toshi goes up. Okay, I gave you the thesis, the first, second order consequence, right? That's how you do it. Okay, so I have a list of questions here on how you can look at the fundamentals that we cover in this course and how you can apply the second and third order consequence thinking to each section. I'll try not to spend too long on this, but and just keep in mind, maybe I didn't include every single fundamental characteristic because some of them I might add in future, some of these I might remove in future. The market's always changing. But look, flows. How are the flows going to increase? What is going to increase them? Where is it going to come from? Are flows a second order consequence of something else occurring, right? So when I look at the flow analysis for Toshi, I say, okay, Coinbase gets all the users, sends them to base, they buy Toshi. That's the flow. Let's look at tokenomics. So when the tokenomics are good, everyone knows the tokenomics are good. Okay, so what is it about the tokenomics that supports the bull case for this coin? Is there, for example, sometimes the tokenomics are good when it comes out, but there's a big unlock 8 months after the token drops. And so is there some sort of future event that is going to make the price go sour? You have to look at what is going to happen into the future about the tokenomics. Is there an unlock, right? Is there something about the tokenomics no one knows, which if the market finds out, it's going to kick off a negative, price spiral? For example, with Bitcoin, for example, in the tokenomics, people get worried sometimes about the mining death spiral, right? Sometimes Bitcoin drops so much that it's no longer profitable to mine, and people worry that all the miners are going to turn off because they're not making money, and that would lead to a hash price crash, meaning that Bitcoin is not secure, and maybe Bitcoin just fucking collapses, right? That would be a a second and third order consequence of an aspect of analyzing the tokenomics. But the truth is that Bitcoin has a solution to this, which is the adjustment of the difficulty of mining a block. So if price was to ever drop, which caused all the miners to turn off, you just need enough miners to mine the blocks until the next difficulty adjustment, which happens as, I don't know, every so often. So, you know, like people have worried about that so many times, but if you understood the second and third order consequences of the tokenomics, you'd be ready for that, right? So you'd understand, for example, with tokenomics, right, you can pick a Bitcoin bottom based off when people worry about the mining death spiral. Because you know that, okay, people are worried, people always worry about these death spiral things at the point which they, you know, at the point at which the price is the most bearish generally, right? It's always that event that creates peak fear. So you can use that tokenomics understanding and analyzing the second and third order consequences. Okay, so for example, mining death spiral, everyone's worried about it, Bitcoin's crashed. What happens if the difficulty adjusts down? Well, then it's no mining death spiral, which means the price has probably hit a bottom. So that would be an example, okay? Advanced narrative analysis. Did my narrative account for several orders of consequences, right? So I did advanced narrative analysis on Toshi. I said Coinbase, base, Toshi, right? That was pretty advanced. And I accounted for several orders of consequences. Thesis building with my network. So often my network will know something about the potential consequences before I even know it. So for example, a lot of my friends knew about Toshi, but they didn't know that the meme coins outperform every other coin on every chain across all chains. They're the best performer. And a lot of people didn't know that. So you talk with your network and they end up filling in gaps for you to help you build your thesis. Pattern recognition. So when you've been in the market for a while, your second and third order consequences can often sort of, I guess, be created based off patterns that you've seen before. So then that's why I refer here to fractals, right? Is there a fractal of something that has happened prior which might happen again? Because often, you know, for example, if I do the circle thing again, you might have seen this pattern play out before. And so when you see the line bounce here, you know, oh, okay, I've seen this happen before. I know it goes here and here, right? And you can sort of be ready for it in future. So that's another way. You recognize the pattern of something that's happened before. So for example, you know that meme coins are the best performer. So you know that with the Toshi thesis, that the best play on base is the meme coins. That's recognizing patterns. Now, team. So yeah, what does a great team mean? Why is a great team important? Do they have maybe a connection to an exchange that they're going to get listed on at some point that's going to make the price go up? You know, is there a product that they're building which people, you know, aren't aware of, or that you know that is going to do really, really well? Is the team able to pivot quickly? Is there something the team is going to pivot to that you know of, which is going to lead to new users finding the coin and making the price go up? And community. You know, it's not about what the community is now, it's about what it can become. Can the community grow 10x from here? You know, why can the current community create this? Is there something that the team is doing to help foster the community? Is there a competition or something happening that's going to kick off the community growth? For example, the Breakpoint conference was a community event, and that led to the price of Solana going up 2-3x. You know, a few months before the event, that event actually marked the top in November 2021. Right, that was a community-led event, also run by the team. And that would be an example of using the aspect of the community to time your exit, right? A lot of the time, it's the conference that actually signals the top. A lot of times, the big Ethereum conferences, the big Bitcoin conference, big Solana conferences, they actually mark the top of those respective coins, or even sometimes the broader market, okay? Mindshare. And there's a few more here, okay? Perception versus reality, 0 to 1 primitives, outlier price action, initial distribution, I couldn't think of anything, and the age of the project, okay? We'll do age of project. So how long does the token have before the community gets annoyed at the lack of adoption? So a coin can be new, as in 12 months old, but maybe they haven't delivered for 12 months and the community is on its like final last straw and they're giving the team a few more months before they start fucking selling. So you need to be careful, you know, like what is the consequence of the team failing to deliver over the next 3 months? You know, and this is where you have to actually analyze the community and spend your day to day in the Discord, in the Telegram, you know, involving yourself so that you can understand what the sentiment is, so you can understand what people might be doing based off what the team comes up with, right? And that's based on the age of the project, right? So that's just sort of some random examples of how you can apply second and third order thinking so that you're able to look forwards, so that you're ready for what might happen, because that is how you make money in markets, by guessing and estimating and creating a thesis around what you think might happen and selling when the thesis either is invalidated or it plays out, right? That's how you do markets. So that's everything for this video, I think. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.